So good evening, everyone. Welcome to yet another career guidance webinar. Today we have with us Mr. Refuge, who is a proprietor of Refuge. He's a fitness and life coach. He's also a certified Total Fit Level 2 coach from Total Fit International USA, and he has many certifications, as you can see on his profile here. He knows how to do exercise right. So this is why we invited him over here today. And today we are going to conduct the session in terms of an interview so that it will be a little bit more interesting for all of you. So we have Miss Sangeeta from Mechanical Engineering. We have Miss Amasha from Civil Engineering and Mr. Vidura from Electrical Engineering. I'm going to hand over the session over to them. Thank you, Mr. Refuge, for coming. His topic today is optimal health for optimal life. So I know all of you have a lot of questions that you already have sent in to us. These questions we'll ask him, and we'll open the floor up for questions later towards the end. So over to you, students. Thank you.
So, good evening, everyone, to whoever joined in this session, and good evening, Dr. Prince, and good evening, our keynote speaker, Mr. Ruhuna, sir. So, let me begin my question. So, in the society that we know that many people are concerned about their health condition. So, even in the schools, we get to know about some the health knowledge in schools, but after schools, after A-levels, people go to universities and for jobs. So some people argue that the health condition is getting, we can't control it, and likewise, why we need it. So can you please tell me, sir, why is health and physical fitness important to our careers? You know that, and also how we can balance this. I mean, as an undergraduate, so that's a personal question also, and everybody. Since there are many undergraduates, so I know you guys have that question: how we can balance our academics and physical activities.
Thank you, Vidura, for that question, and thank you, Noi, for your introduction. Okay, that's a really good question. I'm going to first share something of what the WHO has categorized as optimal health. Okay, when we are talking about exercise, we need to ask ourselves, what is optimal health? So I'm going to take you down to, let's see if I can get this going, okay? All right, and if I can share my screen. Okay, I'm going to share this. Can you see the screen here?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you see the PowerPoint that I opened up? Okay. So this is basically what the WHO has defined as optimal health. What health is? Okay. So it's a state of saturation, satisfaction, and purposefulness in life where there is a full balance. That means you have a full balance between your body, your mind, and your spirit, right? Regardless of a person's physical ability. So being healthy is not about only having muscles, right? Or being able to lift big heavy weights. Being healthy is about having a healthy body, a healthy mind, and a healthy spirit. Okay, so these are three things that we have to keep in mind when you're talking about optimal health. And then the question that you asked was, how do you, wait, I'm trying to get out away from this. Okay, how do you balance physical strength, fitness and And optimal health, what is it and how do you balance it with in our careers? Now I want to ask you something. Listen, all of us, we have only one body, right? You don't have two bodies. That body that you have is all that you have. Now, I am a fitness coach, a life coach. I'm also a husband. I have two children, okay? One is 7 and the other one is 4. One is 8 and the other one is 4, right? Now, there are multiple roles that I juggle. And trust me, all those roles, for example, if you are to be 100% in your job, right? And give your best, if you are to be 100% out there as a father, right? Or if you want to be 100% out there as a friend, it takes a lot of energy out of you, right? I mean, in your careers, one day, okay, when you come out as engineers and all of that, and when you hit the field, right? You have to go places. You have to start. It's not something like where you sit in one place and you wait. It demands a lot out of you, right? So the thing is this. Everything you do in your life has to happen through that body. So if you want to be the best person that you can be as an engineer one day, or in your profession, in your career, whatever career you choose, right? As a father and a husband one day, or a mother and a wife, right? You have to have the energy and the strength to be able to do that joyfully and with a lot of with a lot of passion. So why is fitness important? Because everything that you do in life stems out of the fact whether you are able to do it. See, you may have all the good intention in your mind, but if your body can't do it, then you won't be able to function. So in a sense, the core to our being, not only about just to be able to do, but remember, optimal health is about having a healthy mind as well and a healthy heart as well, right? Body, mind, and spirit. And all of these three things together is optimal health. So how do we make this important, and how do we, your question that you asked is, how do you balance this with our life? The fact is, it's not about balancing. It is a core ingredient of your life. If you don't have this, then the quality of your life is going to be less. I want to, again, maybe share something and ask you a question. This is, I hope this is not too long, but I think it's important for me to share this. Here we go. Okay, now these people that you see here, you see this group of people, right? Are they healthy? Speak to me. Are they healthy? Yes? No? Yes. They're healthy. Why are they healthy? What makes you say that they're healthy?
Because they're actively playing.
Because they're active, right? There's activity, there's playing. What else? What else is there? Why else do you think they're healthy?
They're kind of energetic and
there's energy. How old do you think they are?
70, like this.
Probably in their mid-70s, close to 80s, right? Can you tell me something about their face? What do their faces look like?
Faces look very old.
It looks old, okay. What else? Can you tell me about their face? About
They are very happy, I think.
They're happy, they're smiling. Okay, there is interaction. There is a lot of engagement. Now, is he healthy?
He seems lost.
He seems lost. How old do you think he is?
About in his mid-30s.
Probably 30s, you know, maybe 30, at least half the age of the people we saw before. Why do you say he's unhealthy? What are the symptoms that he's unhealthy?
He's overweight.
Can you tell me something about the face?
Disappointing likewise. He's like disappointing likewise, unhappy. Like,
There doesn't seem to be any joy.
yeah.
There is no action, right? And there is no community. Remember the first picture? There were people, they were engaged. There was community, right? And here he's alone. There is no community. There is no joy. And he seems to be unhealthy if you look at his body mass, right? So the thing is this, what you do with your life today will determine how you will be, right, 50 years from now. So is it important? Is fitness important? You have to ask yourself that question and you need to answer. Do you think it is important for you? What do you think, Amasha? Is fitness important to you?
Yeah, very important because it depends whether when we all, it depends us happiness, our happiness.
Yeah.
As we see earlier.
Exactly. Okay, so it's important and it affects every area of your life. Why is it important? Because our health and our fitness affects every area of our life. If you when you are fit in your body, when you exercise, it also helps you manage your stress levels. You are happier, right? And when you go home, you are much happier at home. Or else when you are stressed out and when you go home, I mean, nobody wants to be next to you because you're angry and you're taking all your stress on your family. Isn't that true? That happens. It can happen even among your friends. When you're stressed out, you shout at your friends and you get angry with your friends, right? So optimal health is for all. It is extremely important because it is the basic, it is the foundation on which everything else is built, right? I hope that answers your question. I know it was a bit of a long one, but I thought that I had to actually put that foundation in before we move forward.
අපි අද කරන දේ මත තව අවුරුදු 50කින් විතර අපේ ජීවිතේ තීරණය වෙනවා. එතකොට අපි අද කරන දේ අපි නිවැරදි තීරණයක් අරගෙන කරන්න ඕනේ. මම ස්තුතියි වෙනවා සර්ට ඒ ප්‍රශ්නේ අපිට හොඳ පැහැදිලි කරාට. මගේ ප්‍රශ්නය තමයි අපිට දැන් හොඳ ශාරීරික යෝග්‍යතාවක් අවශ්‍යයි කියලා පැහැදිලි වෙන අපේ ජීවිතයේ සතුටින් පවත්වාගෙන යන්න. එතකොට ඒ සඳහා අපිට ගන්න පුළුවන් ආහාර වර්ග මොනවද? විශේෂයෙන්ම අපි විශ්වවිද්‍යාල පරිසරයක් තුල ඉන්න විට අපිට ආහාර වලට තියෙන විකල්ප ගොඩක් දුරට සීමා වෙනවා. ගොඩක් දෙනෙක් පෙළපිලා ඉන්නේ වේල් තුනටම බත් ආහාරයට ගන්න. ඒ වගේ අවස්ථාවක අපි මේක පවත්වාගෙන යන්නේ කොහොමද? අපි හැම වේලකටම සමබල ආහාර වේලක් ගන්න ඕනේද?
ඒක හොඳ ප්‍රශ්නයක්. මම පුළුවන් තරමට මේකට පිළිතුරක් දෙන්න හදන්නම්. The first thing is පළවෙනි දේ ඇවිල්ලා there are the basic macronutrients. ඒ කියන්නේ අපේ ශරීරයට අවශ්‍ය macronutrients තුනක් තියෙනවා. එකක් ඇවිල්ලා protein, දෙවෙනි එක ඇවිල්ලා carbohydrate, තුන්වෙනි එක ඇවිල්ලා fats. නැත්නම් මේද. Right? Now all these three මේ තුනම අපේ ශරීරයට අවශ්‍යයි. දැන් සාමාන්‍යයෙන් ගන්නවා නම් ජෙනරල් මේ මොකද්ද ජෙනරල් රෙකමෙන්ඩේෂන් එකක් හැටියට Refuge එකේ අපි පාවිච්චි කරන්නේ 40-40-20% breakdown එකක්. ඒ කියන්නේ 40% protein, 40% carbohydrate, 20% fat. ඒක තමයි සාමාන්‍යයෙන් අපි දෙන breakdown එකක් අපේ athletes වලට. හැබැයි මේක එක එක්කෙනාගේ ක්‍රියාශීලීභාවය අනුව වෙනස් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. Okay? හරි ඉතින් අපි ඒක ඉස්සරහම දැනගන්න ඕනේ. දැන් එකක් හුඟක් කට්ටිය අපේ බත් ගැන ගොඩාක් ප්‍රශ්න වෙනවා. දැන් බත් ඇවිල්ලා අපේ සංස්කෘතිය ආහාරයක්. අවුරුදු ගාන තුලින් අපි බත් කාපු සංස්කෘතියක්. හරිද? දැන් බත් වල කිසිම ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ. ඒක ඇවිල්ලා අපේ මනස දැන් මේ නියුට්‍රිෂන් පැත්තෙන් ලියන ගොඩාක් දේවල් බටහිරෙන් එන්නේ. ඉතින් ඒගොල්ලන්ට බත් ගැන තියෙන මේ අවබෝධය ගොඩක් අඩුයි. ඉතින් ඒක සාමාන්‍යයෙන් දැන් අපි මේ පැත්තෙන් මොන හරි ලිව්වා නම් අපි අපේ පැත්තෙන් ලියන්නේ. අපිට ඒගොල්ලන් කන මේ බ්‍රොකොලි සහ ඒවා ගැන අපිට වැඩි දැනුමක් එන්නේ නැහැ නේ. ඉතින් ඒක සාමාන්‍ය දෙයක්. හැබැයි ඉතින් බත් ඇවිල්ලා අපේ සංස්කෘතිය දැන් අපේ මේ ගොවියන්ගේම කන්නේ බත් තාම. හැබැයි ඒගොල්ලන් මේ මහතට දෙන්නේ ගොඩක් නෑ. අපි ඉස්සරහ බලන්න ඕනේ අපේ ප්‍රශ්නය ඇවිල්ලා අපේ ආකාරය ගැන බලන්න ඉස්සෙල්ලා අපේ ක්‍රියාශීලීභාවය ගැන බලන්න ඕනේ. දැන් අපිට විලා තියෙන්නේ මේ අපේ මොකද්ද සමාජය අද අපේ සමාජයේ ක්‍රියාශීලීභාවය ගොඩක් අඩු වෙලා තියෙනවා. ඉතින් එතන තමයි තියෙන්නේ මූලික ප්‍රශ්නේ. right? අපේ ක්‍රියාශීලීභාවය අඩු වෙලා තියෙනවා. හැබැයි අපි සාමාන්‍යයෙන් ගන්න ආහාර ප්‍රමාණය අපි අඩු කරලා නැහැ. ඉතින් එතකොට ප්‍රශ්නයක් නේ. ඉතින් අපි ඒක දෙවැනි එක. right? දැන් බත් කන එක ප්‍රශ්නයක් නෑ. අපි බත් කන ප්‍රමාණය තමයි තියෙන්නේ ප්‍රශ්නේ. අනිත් එක අපේ ක්‍රියාශීලීභාවය. ඉතින් අපි දැනගන්න ඕනේ අපි කනකොට අපේ ඇඟ අපේ ශරීරයට අවශ්‍ය දේ මොකද්ද? අපේ කැලරි ප්‍රමාණය මොකද්ද අපිට අවශ්‍ය තියෙන්නේ කැලරි ප්‍රමාණය කොහොමද කියලා. ඒකත් එක්කම ඉතින් අපි කන ප්‍රමාණය අපි ඒක බැලන්ස් කරගන්න ඕනේ. ඇත්තටම අපි ලාංකික මේ කෑම හැවිලා හරි ගුණ කෑම හැයි බත් එක්ක අපි එළවලු වර්ග කනවා, පළතුරු වර්ග කනවා. ඉස්සර දැන් නම් කොහොමද දන්නේ? දැන් ඔක්කොම ඉතින් කඩේට ගිහින් මාළු පානයක් නෙගන්නේ. ඒක වෙන කතාවක්. හැබැයි අපේ සංස්කෘතිය හැටියට බලනකොට අපේ ආහාර හරි හොඳ ආහාරයක් තිබුණේ. නැත්තම් කඩල හදලා කනවා. ඉතින් ඒ වගේ දේවල් අපි මේ මොකද්ද මේ process food කන්න නැතුව මේ වගේ දේවල් අපේ ඇඟට ගොඩක් ගුණයි. There is nothing wrong with rice. මේ අපි ඉස්සලාම අපේ ක්‍රියාශීලීභාවය ගැන පොඩ්ඩක් බලන්න ඕනේ. If we are active or not active and we need to get active. ගොඩක් අද මිනිස්සු යමු වෙන්නේ ඇවිල්ලා ආහාර පැත්තෙන්. හැබැයි ඇත්තටම අපි බලන්න ඕනේ කොහොමද අපේ ක්‍රියාශීලීභාවය අපි වැඩි කරන්න ඕනේ කියලා. ඊට පස්සේ බලන්න පුළුවන් ආහාරය ගැන. And then getting nutritious food does not need to be expensive. දැන් මම කියවනේ protein 40%, carb 40%, fat 20% කියලා. ඒවා ඔක්කොම අපි අපේ ආහාරේ පුළුවන්. දැන් අපි පොල් කනවා නම් උතන fat එක තියෙනවා. පොල් තෙල්. මේ ඔක්කොම සාමාන්‍ය දැන් අපි දැන් මේ අපි ලංකාවේ සාමාන්‍ය මේ මොකද්ද ආහාර කියනකොට මේ මිනිස්සු කියනවානේ මේ අපි බතුයි පොල් සම්බොලුයි පරිප්පුයි කියන්නේ කන්නේ කියලා. දැන් ওই තුන ගමුකෝ. ඒ තුනෙන්ම මේ දේවල් තුනම තියෙනවා. We have the protein, right? Paripu තියෙන protein, lentils, good protein, and bakula protein තියෙනවා. 100 grams of rice has about 4 grams, about 2.7 to 3 grams of protein තියෙනවා bakula, right? In about 100 grams. And then in pol, you have that good solid fat with carbohydrates. So you have a really good nikan ape those three things are quite healthy for us in a sense. ඉතින් මේ වගේ කෑම කන්න වැඩි අපිට මුදලක් ගෙවන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. දැන් ජිම්ස් වල යන කට්ටිය මේ මොකද්ද වේ ප්‍රෝටීන් කියලා ප්‍රෝටීන් ගන්නවා. ඔයගොල්ලන් අහලා තියෙන ඇති. අද මේ ටබ්ස් වල හරිද? දැන් ඒකේ මේක ටබ් එකක් ඇවිල්ලා 20000ක් වෙනවා. 20000ක් නැත්නම් 22ක් විතර මොකද්ද ප්‍රයිස් එක. දැන් අපි කඩේකට ගිහින් සමපෝෂ පැකටයක් ගත්තා නම් දැන් සමපෝෂ ග්‍රෑම් 100ක ප්‍රෝටීන් ග්‍රෑම් 20ක් තියෙනවා. ග්‍රෑම් 100ක ප්‍රෝටීන් ග්‍රෑම් 20ක් තියෙනවා. දැන් සමපෝෂ ග්‍රෑම් 500ක පැකටයක් ඇවිල්ලා රුපියල් 150කට ගන්න පුළුවන් කඩේ. ඉතින් හරි බැලන්ස් ආහාරයක් ගන්න අපිට ඔච්චර සල්ලි දීලා මෙයා කර ගන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. හැබැයි we have to think, we have to plan, and අපි අවබෝධයත් එක්ක අපි කෑම ගන්න ඕනේ. I hope that answers your question. Amasha, is that okay?
Yes, sir. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. So very information answer. So thank you for answering the question. So so you have mentioned about the how to balance the our physical fitness and careers, and also the meals that we can have for a healthy life.
Yeah.
So you know that the world is going to a bad pandemic situation. So under this pandemic situation, the new normal situation has occurred. So people have to work from home, and many people are restricted and quarantined. Likewise, even not only the job holders, but also the undergraduates, and we are kind of in the online education. So under that scenario, so can you tell me what type of exercise can be done and ease at home? So it will be very beneficial for us to know about that.
Okay.
So those who get started with that. Yeah.
Thank you, Vidura, for that. Now, this is also going to be a slightly long answer for your question. Okay. First, we need to understand that there are 3 dimensions when we talk about fitness or exercise. Okay, 3 areas. One is that we need musculoskeletal strength. So musculoskeletal strength is the development of our muscle mass and bone density. After the age of 20, every decade, you lose 6.6 pounds of muscle mass, right? So that means every decade after the age of 20, we are losing muscle. And that is not necessarily because we are getting old. It's because our lifestyle, our levels of activity starts decreasing. And when your body's activity decreases, the body basically says, I don't need this anymore, and it starts shedding off the muscle mass. Now, when you lose muscle mass, what happens is that you open your bones and your body for a lot of issues. So there is a condition called sarcopenia, which is a medical condition of loss of muscle mass in the aging population. And when that happens, you have issues with frail joints. You open up for osteoporosis, osteoarthritis, right? Your posture becomes very, you lose your posture in your body. You have issues with balance. You're unable to balance because when your muscle mass reduces, you don't have control over your body. So all of these things start happening. Now, how can you rectify this? You can reverse the situation by actually engaging in resistance-based training. So resistance training means any sort of external weight, maybe a dumbbell, barbell, any weight, right? Or it can be even your body weight, internal weights. Yeah, you use your body weight, anything to add some sort of resistance in a push movement or a pull movement so that it stimulates your muscle growth, right? So one of the exercises that we need to do is strength-based, where you are doing some sort of a strength movement. For example, to sit and stand from your chair without holding the chair is a strength movement because your legs need to be strong, your hips need to be strong to be able to do that, right? Now, how many of you, when you sit down on a couch, right down, right, can you stand up from the couch straight without holding the couch? If you can do that, like if you can stand from the chair without holding, then it's, I mean, we all should be able to do that. But surprisingly, a lot of people are unable to do that, even in their mid-20s, right? So if we could have done activity now and asked all of you to try it out, but let's keep it for later, right? So, so the thing is, you have to start developing that muscle stimulus in order to reverse it. The good news is all the research says that even after the age of 70, you can reverse muscle deterioration. You can still put on muscle mass and you can still grow muscle, right? And grow. So that's the first one, developing strength. So any sort of exercises. So in a sense, at home, you can do squats, you can do push-ups, you can lift the 5-liter water cans. You can take those water cans and you can lift, when you go shopping, go to the shop, buy stuff and carry it and walk home. All of those is muscle stimulator, right? And you use. The second one is called cardio endurance and cardio response. So that's when you train your heart. So cardio response is training your aerobic system, which is the energy system that you use to do work. Now, when you train your energy system, that's the ability to do work without getting tired, to climb steps without having to pant at the end of it, okay? To be able to run or cycle and play football or do fun stuff without getting tired in 5 minutes or 6 minutes, right? So the ability to do work to an extended period of time without getting tired fast. So that's when we condition the heart and train the heart. So that's cardiovascular training. So that training is when you walk, run, cycle, swim. So those are things that you can do to train your heart and cardiovascular system. The third one that you're looking at is basically agility training. Agility training is when you train your joints, right? So our elbows, our wrists, our knees, our hips, these are key functional joints. And as we age, if you don't use those joints, like any machine, they get stuck, right? Now, if you go up to a machine that hasn't been used for a long time, and if you try to open it, what happens?
Little bit hard to.
Pardon?
Little bit hard to.
It's a bit hard. It's a bit hard, right? And then when you open, you start hearing noises. You start hearing like crank, crank, all sorts of noises happening. Now, unfortunately, that is the same thing that happens to our body. Because after some time, because of misuse, when you start getting up from a chair, you start hearing noises, like creaks and groans happening in on your body. When you walk up a flight of steps, you start hearing cracks. Our body begins to get, our joint, when our joint is not used, and it's not used, then what happens is it just stiffens up. And when it stiffens up, then it begins to get very, it opens itself up for damage, and you can easily bruise an area, you can easily dislocate an area, or sprain an area, right? And find it very difficult to do everyday normal tasks because of the stiffness that comes in. So agility is basically moving and training these joints. So those are all about flexibility movements, stretching, stretching, doing leg swings, getting those shoulders going. When you just move the shoulders, move the wrists constantly, especially if you're on the computer for a long period of time, you have to do that. Because your hands, your shoulders, your neck, they're all going to get so tight. You're going to start feeling pain around your shoulders. Then you're going to start feeling pain around your back that goes down. And if you're constantly on the computer quite, it can become chronic pain. You get a pain that goes down the sciatic nerve all the way, sometimes down into your hand, right? So so that's something that you have to keep in mind. So there are these three areas that you need to train: musculoskeletal strength, cardiovascular performance, and also agility training. So these are three ways which you have to kind of train, and which you can do it wherever you are, even in your home. Okay, you don't have to go to a gym. You can stay at home and train if you intentionally are able to do these things. Is that helpful? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir, for your explanation. I have an announcement for our participants. If you have any question for our speaker, please send a direct message to Dr. Prince. And sir, I have another question for you. Nowadays, most of us stay at our homes due to the prevailing situation of our country, and have gained weight over the past year, and we are struggling to lose weight. Therefore, as discussed earlier, we have different types of exercises like cardio, strength training, etc. And out of them, what exercises are best for weight loss? And how do we stay motivated to continue our fitness journey? As we all know, many of us find that we give up on physical fitness very easily. So how do we keep on going after we feel tired after lectures and our academic activities? How do we formulate a routine?
Okay. Thank you, Amasha. Now, there were at least two questions there, okay, that came in. So the first one is, what do I need to do? What's the best one for weight loss? Now, you want to really hit weight loss. I know that everybody talks about cardio and cardio performance, because when you go into cardio-based high-intensity training, it burns your glycogen energy stores, and then it starts burning into your fat stores, right? So cardio-based means when you do running or walking or cycling. But if you want to really speed up that, you need to do a high intensity interval training. Like when you increase your heart rate above 60% of your maximum heart rate or 70% for an extended period of time, right? At least about 15 minutes and more, you really get an afterburn effect. So high intensity interval training, which is like, okay, for an example, it's like doing sprints. Okay, a 100-meter dash, when you really go all out 100 meters, then you stop, then you slowly walk back, and then you sprint again and you go all out. When you train like that, you don't have to train long, 15-20 minutes and you're done. But regular cardio, what's recommended is that you train at least half an hour every day if you want to really see effects of weight loss happening. Okay, which means that you're walking or you're running or you're cycling for at least half an hour on a regular basis, if it's moderate level activity that you're doing, right? Now, having said that, I would also like to say that strength training is equally important for weight loss, because for every 2 pounds of muscle mass that you put on, right? For every 2 pounds of muscle mass that you put on, you lose 1 pound of fat. So when you build muscle in your body, and I'm not talking about, looking like Arnold Schwarzenegger or somebody, I'm talking about our body needs muscle. Everybody needs muscle, right? My mom, who is 68 years old, she also needs muscle. Okay. And by the way, she's in my training program. So she comes and trains with me every week, twice a week. She comes and she trains. She's been training for the past 3+ years. So when you put on muscle mass, it reduces your fat percentage. So what I would suggest for most people is that do your cardio, but just doing the cardio alone, you should not focus on only fat loss. Now, a lot of people come and tell me, how do I lose fat? My thing is, if that is your objective, you are actually focusing on the symptom of the problem and not the problem. Fat loss is not the problem. It is a symptom, right? The problem is what got you there. How did you put on weight? Why did you come there? That is the problem. So unless you deal with the problem, right, you will not be able to deal with the fat loss. It will be cyclical. You lose weight. After that, in about 6-7 months, you'll gain that weight again. And then you lose it again. You do some diet and whatever, and then it can go down. Then again, it comes back again, right? And that is because you're focusing on the symptom and not on the problem. The problem is, what is the lifestyle changes that happened which got me here? And how do I change those lifestyle habits that I have developed? How do I change that, right? So that's what you need to focus on when you're talking about fat loss, right? The other thing is, your question was how to stay motivated. Now, the thing is this, again, you need to really understand the importance of optimal health. See, if fat loss is your objective, it's very difficult to stay motivated. You put on weight, you'll lose weight, and then it will go up and down. You try different things, go to different people. But if optimal health, that means you tell yourself, I want to be healthy. I want to have a good life. I want to be dynamic. I want to be able to do things with my, I don't know, when you need to have a dream. Okay, what sort of family do you want to have? When you're married and if you have kids and all of that, what sort of family do you want to have? How do you want to spend time with them? Do you want to, so when you have that dream, then you ask yourself, how can I get there? What sort of a life should I have in order to get there? And then you see, when you see the importance of health, that becomes your goal and you make it a priority. If it is weight loss is not a priority. So you will easily not be motivated after some time. If something else comes and something else comes, you can drop this and then you may come back to this later on. But if you understand the value of optimal health, then you make it a goal. You make it a purpose. It becomes one of your main reasons in life and one of your main goals in life. Okay, I hope that helps. Yeah.
So you gave us very detailed words. That's very useful for us. And I have a question in Tamil, sir. So I would ask you a question in Tamil. கொரோனா நோய் தொற்று காரணமாக நாங்கள் விரிவலையினூடாக விரிவுரைகளை நடாத்தவும் பங்கு பெறவும் நேரிடுகிறது மற்றும் ஒரு திரையின் முன்னால் அன்னளவாக 8 மணித்தியாலத்திற்கும் மேலாக அமர்ந்திருக்க வேண்டி ஏற்படுகிறது. இந்த சூழ்நிலையில் எவ்வாறு எமது உடல் ஆரோக்கியத்தை குறிப்பாக கண் தொடர்பான ஆரோக்கியத்தை பேணும்?
ஓகே, தேங்க் யூ சங்கீதா. அது ஒரு நல்ல question ஒன்னு. I will try to give a brief answer and then Anujan, did you get the question?
Yes, yeah. Yes, sir.
So why don't you, Anujan, respond to that, and then after that, maybe I will give a few tips later on if you got the question.
நல்ல ஒரு கேள்வி. இப்ப நடந்து கொண்டிருக்கிற காலங்களிலே மாணவர்கள் திரையின் முன்னே படிப்பதற்கும் அவர்களுடைய ரிசர்ச் மற்ற அசைன்மெண்ட் செய்வதற்கும் இருக்கிறார்கள். அதுல உங்களோட ஆரோக்கியத்தை பேணுறதுக்கு சில வழிமுறைகள் உண்டு. முதலாவது கண் தொடர்பான ஒரு ஆலோசனை. எங்களுடைய உடலிலே முதலாவது சோர்வடையும் உறுப்பாக கண் இருக்கின்றது. அப்போ நீங்க வேலை செய்து கொண்டிருக்கும் பொழுது நீங்கள் 20 நிமிடத்துக்கு ஒரு முறை உங்கள் கணனி திரையிலிருந்து உங்கள் பார்வைகளை வெளியே செலுத்தி பார்க்க வேண்டும். You should observe the other surroundings at least between 20 minutes, in between 20 minutes. அத்துடன் உங்களுடைய கண்களை சிறிய தண்ணீரினால் துடைத்தவாறு இருந்தால் அது உங்களுடைய கண்ணலனுக்கு நன்றாக இருக்கும். So if you just take a piece of cloth and if you can wipe your eyelids and those things in a break of 20 minutes, it's really good for this. அத்தோடு நீங்கள் A லெவலில் ICT அந்த கோர்ஸ் படிக்கும் பொழுது இதனை குறித்து அவர்கள் உங்களுக்கு தெளிவாக சொல்லி இருக்கின்றாங்க. அப்ப அந்த விஷயங்களை பார்த்து நீங்க இதுல சில மேலதிக தகவல்களை நீங்க பெற்றுக்கொள்ள முடியும். அது கண் தொடர்பானது. இரண்டாவது உங்களுடைய உடலின் போஸ்டர், ரைட்? அதோட நான் ரெஃபர் நாட்டை இதை நான் கொடுக்குறேன். இரண்டாவது போஸ்டர் உங்களோட லேப்டாப் எப்பவும் உங்களோட கண் பார்வைக்கு நேரா இருக்கணும். Your laptop should stay straight to your eyesight. It should not be down or it should not be high, so that you have a neutral neck. Second thing, when you sit, I'll just sit like this, actually. You should sit straight. You should not sit like this, right? So you need to be ensuring that your hands are like this. And sometimes when we answer the phone during our assignments or lecture, we used to keep like this as well. Naga assignments ennu keka call answer panna appadi vechukondirukanga. That's very bad. Naga appadi seiyakudadu, right? It's better to have a headset in the sense if you're answering, or take the phone, answer, keep it, and then concentrate on the study as well, right? And lastly, if you can have something under your leg, உங்களோட காலுக்கு கீழே ஏதாவது ஒரு சின்ன ஒரு பலகை மாதிரியோ like a wood or something, so that you, how do I show it? So you just keep something under your leg, உங்களோட காலுக்கு கீழே அதை வச்சு, so you raise your leg up so that the neutral gets neutralized. If not, you're going to get more impact on your back here, right? So that would also help. What I could also share is I would share with you a video which talks briefly on this. A physiotherapist has done that video. I will also share with you, so you will have more information on that. Understand, the more you stay in front of the screen, you need to also take breaks frequently. Breaks if not, it will also impact your eyes. Lastly, whenever you take breaks, ensure you don't use your phones much, right? நீங்க வந்து உங்களோட phones வந்து கூடுதலா யூஸ் பண்ணாம இருக்கிறது நல்லது. The reason you are sitting in front of the laptop, you're doing all the work, and during the rest, you'll go into Facebook, you will go into WhatsApp, and you will do. So again, you're also looking onto the screen time. So ensure you take a break. நீங்க வந்து சரியான breaks. படித்தாச்சு, assignments செஞ்சாச்சு, keep your electronics away. உங்களோட electronics வச்சிட்டு, you can read a book. நீங்க books வாசிக்கலாம், பாட்டு கேட்கலாம், you can listen to this thing. Don't use an electronic device and make it a practice. And last but not least, before you sleep, never use phone. Because if you use your phone before you sleep for 3 hours, your brain is not going to sleep, right? நீங்க படுப்பதற்கு முன்பு உங்களோட போனை பார்த்தீங்கன்னு சொன்னா 3 மணித்தியாலத்துக்கு உங்களோட மூளை வந்து உறக்க நிலைக்கு செல்லாது, right? So never use the phone before you sleep. Over to you, Refuge.
Okay. Thank you. And Sangeeta, just to add to what Anujan said, thank you, Anujan. That was very elaborate. And just to share a few things, Sangeeta, now, சில விடயங்கள் நான் செய்த சில காரியங்கள் வந்து every 10 to 15 minutes I will try to look away from the screen and look around so that my eyes எங்க கண் வந்து ஒரே இடத்துல இப்ப நீங்க கம்ப்யூட்டர் பார்க்குற நேரம் அது வந்து ஒரே விஷுவல் பாயிண்ட் தானே இருக்கு. So at least every 10 to 15 minutes கம்ப்யூட்டரை விட்டு நாங்க வேற இடங்களை பார்க்கணும் so that our eyes are able to adjust at different areas. The other thing is, whenever you can, when you take an extended break, right? வெளியே போய் எங்கேயாவது வெளியே போயிட்டு வெளியே பாருங்க. இந்த அவுட்டோர்ஸ் வீட்டுக்கு இல்லாட்டி வீட்டுல இருந்து வெளியே போங்க. வெளியே உள்ளுக்க இருக்காம வெளியே போய் என்னடா அந்த சன்லைட் உங்களை கண்டு படணும். And the outdoors, மற்றது அங்க இருக்கிற the color differences, right? So that you will let your eyes go around. So what I do is I go out and then I look around at the birds. I look at, around, I go with our kids and we just stay out and we just look around. The other one is, if you can climb somewhere or if you have a balcony, you can go to the balcony. Because we are so close, we are looking at a close proximity thing, we need to get our eyes used to a far distance, right? So you have to go and try and look எங்கட கண்ணு adjust பண்றதுக்கு இல்லாட்டி எங்கட கண் வந்து இந்த short term range சிக்குல தான் இருக்கு. At least 8 hours, right? 8-12 hours we are in this range. So we have to make sure that the eye gets diverse lenses and diverse areas of focusing so that it's able to focus long, short, and also focus long. Okay, I hope that answers your question, Sangeeta. You're on mute, Sangeeta.
Okay, sir. Can you hear me, sir? Now?
Yes, can hear you.
Sir, this was very detailed and very clear, and your Tamil was very good, sir. And
thank you very much.
I would like to thank Mr. Anujan also. He also very clear and good enough. And I have another question in English. Can I ask it now, sir?
Yes, you can.
So as you said in previous question, you said us about the optimum health.
Yeah.
So now I have a question about how is the mental fitness and physical fitness is related. Tell me about it some words.
That is a very good question, Sangeeta. Especially these days, in the last 1.5 years, one of the biggest medical issues in the world is mental health. Mental health is one of the growing issues, especially with the COVID and the lockdown. More and more people are struggling with anxiety, they're struggling with depression, they're struggling with stress. And a lot of people that I know of, that I hear of, are also going into medication, clinical medication for anxiety and stress. The thing is, our bodies are all connected together, right? Now, the root cause of one of these areas when it comes to stress, anxiety, and depression is linked to a body chemistry called adrenaline, right? And when you are stressed or when you are anxious, there is a shoot of adrenaline that goes in our body and it stays at a heightened level. Now, when you begin to sleep, when it becomes night, right? When it gets closer to night, and when the light goes down, our body produces a neurotransmitter called GABA, right? GABA, which basically stops the production of adrenaline and it reduces the adrenaline hormone in our body. Okay. So when it reduces, what happens is our body begins to slow down during the night, right? And that's how eventually we begin to go to sleep, because as it slows down, there are two hormones called melatonin and serotonin, which basically starts getting activated in our body, which creates that sleep, okay, and induces sleep. Now, anxiety and stress, especially when you're worried, what happens is the GABA production reduces. So the adrenaline doesn't go down, it stays high. And you may be stressed about your assignments, or you may be stressed about exams, or you may be stressed about the COVID situation, whatever. So then what happens is you can't sleep at night because your mind is always it's alert, it's thinking through, right? And this is correlated because insomnia, stress, anxiety, depression, they are all interconnected, right? And you'll find a chain that goes in. Now, when you exercise, there are 3 hormones that get activated when you exercise, right? Which is known. One, there is a production of serotonin in your body. Now, serotonin is basically, it's called the happy hormone. It stabilizes your mood. It makes you feel good, right? Serotonin makes you feel good. It's a happy hormone. And when you begin to, increase levels of serotonin in your body, it helps you balance off the stress hormone. And when you're stressed, so that's why if you go to a counselor or if you go to a psychiatrist with an issue, they will tell you to go and exercise. One of the first things they'll tell you is go and exercise, right? Why? Because there is nothing that you can do with a tablet that exercise can give you. See, what exercise gives you, you can't give it in through a medical form. Okay, so that's one thing that you need to keep in mind. And when serotonin increases, right, it also helps the production of melatonin, which means it induces sleep. So when you exercise, then in the night, there is more of a production of melatonin, which means that you are able to sleep much better. Okay, and it helps. So when you have good sleep and when you have that serotonin in, then it is able to help you manage your mental condition much better. It will help you focus on the positives and take charge of certain things that are happening around you. The third hormone associated is dopamine, which is associated with pleasure and rewards. Again, it's something that creates pleasure in our mind. And when you exercise, it is something that is generated in your body, and it helps you deal with issues that you have, especially with mental issues or anxiety or depression and things like that. So like I said, the World Health Organization has basically identified and formulated the term that health is a balance of the body, the mind, and the spirit, right? So when you exercise, you are actually creating that balance in a way, because it's all connected. It's all connected. If your mind is down and if you're feeling stressed, you don't want to work out. You don't want to do exercise, right? But when you exercise, you feel much better in your mind and you want. So it's all interconnected, right? So yes, it is an issue. Stress is an issue, and mental fitness is something that has to be cultivated. And one of the things that we can do is through exercising, right? But that's not the only way that we do mental fitness. Mental fitness also, you do something called, it's called psychotherapy. Now, psychotherapy is basically mentoring, in a sense, being able to talk about your problem. So if you have issues, you don't have to go to a counselor. If you have a good friend, or if you have a good mentor, or if you have a good lecturer that you can go and speak to, just going and speaking to them relieves the stress levels in your mind. So exercise is one, but psychotherapy is the other component, and it has to go hand in hand. When you want to combat mental health, you have to look at all of these things. The third one is nutrition, what you eat. It's interesting that what you eat can affect your mind directly, right? For example, if your omega-3 fatty acids, if the fatty acids are depleted, it is known that people who are stressed and who are in depression have very low levels of omega-3 in their body, especially the DHA fatty acids and the EPA fatty acids, right? So if you want to really stabilize your mental health, you need to start looking at eating more fish. They recommended at least thrice a week, and we are talking about fatty fish, like the heavy fish. Or if you don't eat fish, then you need to at least take omega-3 supplement, right? You can get omega-3 through eggs also, but if you want to really increase the dosage, it's good to get a omega-3 supplement in the market. It's when we were small, we used to get cod oil, so it's something like that. But you got to get the EPA and the DHA quantities high. It has to be more than about 800 milligrams for it to really be effective. So what we eat can affect our mind as well, right? So eating nutritious food, getting your omega-3s in, getting the zinc and the magnesium in. Now, zinc and magnesium, 2 micronutrients, are absolutely essential in brain health and in developing our mental stability and strength. If you are low on zinc and low on magnesium, it's going to affect. So these are things that we need to keep in mind, right? So exercise, psychotherapy, being able to talk to people, right? And our nutrition, being able to eat these small things which add value to you. So all these 3 things help in maintaining our mental health.
Thank you, sir. It's very clear and it's very easy to understand. So that I am invite Dr. Prince to continue the session.
Thank you, Sangeeta, and thank you, Refuge. I think before we take questions, you did have an announcement.
Yes. So what I want to do is that if any of you are interested, I would open up for you to come for 4 free sessions of training with Refuge. We do all of it online, right? So I'd like to open it out for anybody who is interested. You can give your names in to Dr. Prince. She'll have the on your feedback form, and we will get back to you with the times and the options available. So we would like to offer you 4 free sessions just to help you understand what it's like, to know what it's like, and to get going.
Thank you. So I've already put the feedback form link on the chat. Along with that, I have put in 2 other links that are on that form itself. One is to partner with the Career Guidance Unit to do some of these activities. So that's an application form. And the next one is questions that you might have for Professor Priyan Dias, who's going to be talking about is technology neutral. Very interesting topic. If you're not familiar with the topic as engineering students, I have listed some videos that our speaker has given. So that might be helpful. So please go ahead and start filling out the form. Students are sending in questions, but I do realize that most of them you have already answered. Some were about posture. Students have asked about diet plan to weight gain and build muscle. I'm not sure what that is. So do you want to take that question? And then we can open up the floor for questions.
Okay. Yeah, I could do that. So wait, before that also, I must introduce now Anujan, who spoke and answered that question. He's one of our associate coaches, and he's also a really good coach and trainer. So some of you actually, if you do sign up, he will be taking and doing some of the sessions with you all. I will be doing some of the sessions with you all, right? But so just take a good look at Anujan's face. He is also one of our associate coaches and really good at what he does. So the question was about weight gain and muscle mass. Now, when it comes to weight gain or weight loss, it's very simple, right? It is not about the exercise. When you're talking about weight gain or weight loss, it has to do about calorie. It's either calorie deficit or it's about a calorie increment. Okay, it's as simple as that. In a sense, I mean, given that you don't have any kind of preconditions that is affecting your metabolism, in general, if you want to if you want to gain 1 pound of muscle mass per week, you have to if you want to lose 1 pound of muscle mass a week, you have to basically have a calorie deficit of 500 every day during that week. Okay, so if you want to lose 1 pound of muscle mass, 1 pound of fat, 1 pound of fat, then you need a calorie deficit of 500 calories every day. If the deficit is not happening, then you're not going to see that fat burn happen, and you're not going to see the weight loss. You want to put on weight, it's simple, it's the other way around. You have your base metabolic rate and you have a base amount of calories needed. You have to increase that input on a daily basis for you to see the weight gain happen, right? Now, how much you'll increase and how much you'll decrease will also depend on your type of body. So if your metabolism is a fast metabolism and you just don't seem to be able to put on weight more, then your calorie intake needs to be much more than the general increment that we will have. If it's a slower metabolism, then you don't need to have that much of an increment. A little bit of increment would do. But if you have a fast metabolism, then you need to eat much more. You need to get in more calories in order to see the muscle mass, to see the weight gain happen. The muscle development happens with how you train. So you weight gain, you take the calories in, all of that, but then how your body burns the calorie and how your muscles are basically defined, and you create that mass based on how you train and how you work out, right? So that's where the strength training comes in, to put on the muscle mass the way we discussed before. And if you want to lose weight, you kind of move a little bit more towards the cardio to a larger extent, while not missing out on the resistance training or the weight training, because like I said, that's important to develop muscle, because muscle is important for our overall health, right? So I hope that answers the question.
Thank you very much. Shall we open up the floor for questions?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm getting a few questions. Students, the idea of career guidance is more than just having a speaker come and talk to you. We do want you to speak for yourself, to get involved and develop some of the soft skills. So take this as an opportunity that you get to actually ask a question from a complete stranger who has spoken to you for an hour. So shall I call upon a few of the students, or if you feel free, or unmute your mic and ask the questions if you feel your question has not been answered during the session. Let me actually take one of the questions that were asked early on. There is a student who's asking, is it okay to do plank exercises if I have lower back pain?
If you have lower back pain, what I would suggest is that if you're doing plank exercises, you have to do it under somebody's supervision and not alone by yourself, because you can't afford to drop. A plank exercise puts a lot of stress on the lower back. So ideally, no. If you're doing it alone, no. But if you have somebody who's supervising you, then you can attempt together with him or her. You ask the person to actually help you through. But he will actually first give you the different set of exercises to strengthen your lower back. before you go into the planks. So you don't have to do planks right at the beginning.
Thank you.
So actually, there's a question from a participant. So yeah, the person asked that when we are sitting in front of the screen for a few hours, we will feel sleepy and lazy. So what are the more exercises that we can do to stay active?
Okay, so when you're in front of the computer, one of the things that I tend to do is basically the neck stretch, right? So you come back up, I move my back behind so that I straighten my spinal cord, pushing my shoulders back, do this, right? And then I go into shoulder twirls. What I do is I basically do my shoulder twirls up and down, just loosening my shoulders and creating a looseness in my pectorals, my trapezius, and the neck. So you just loosen this because this is the area that gets tight, right? So you just loosen that area. So these are some of the things that you can do while you're seated. Like I said, when you take those short breaks, just take the break, close your eyes, just move up and down. I go left and right, right? So just creating the movements, then you can go down in circles, slow circles. After that, you do the rolls, shoulder rolls, just about maybe 5 behind and 5 forward. Yeah, I normally actually just do a stretch like that. So while you're seated, you're just loosening that whole upper body, you know. I hope that helps.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you. I think we have a
Sorry.
yes. Go ahead, Anujan. Sorry.
Sorry. When you're listening to a lecture, you don't always have to sit down as well. So you can just stand and listen so that you will get all this thing as well for a few minutes. And then you can also come and sit down. So that also helps. Nowadays, they have the standing tables and those things. So when you're listening to the lectures, of course, don't go away. Just sit, stand, watch the lecture, and then come and sit. So that also helps you to keep you active throughout the lecture.
Excuse me, can I go?
Yes, go ahead.
I am struggling with my weight, and actually I was doing high intense exercises for a long time, but recently I had this small surgery, so my mother is not allowing me to do high intensity exercises. Are there any low impact exercises I can do?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I did hear the initial thing that you said. What was the reason why you're not allowed to do high intensity exercises?
I had a surgery on throat, a small surgery.
Okay. So the thing is, you can always, if you're off a surgery, it's good to have somebody who is kind of supervising you through a program. But what I would suggest is for you to just start getting back into kind of a regular cardio-based workout where you start going into kind of fast walks. If you cycle, start cycling and whatever. And then eventually over a period of time, as you get stronger, and as if you see, the thing about exercise is this: you have to work with your body, right? So you have to go as far as you can go with your body, and then you just go one step further. That's all that we want. And that's where growth takes place. So it is not about competing with anybody. And high intensity means, for some people, just lifting their hands up and down fast is actually high intensity, because they can't do even that, right? It's difficult because of maybe a physical illness or whatever. But for them, that is intense. So high intensity is just getting your heart rate up as far as you can and then slowly holding back. But if you have been inactive because of your operation, then what I would suggest is take it slow, start slow, go for your walks and slowly increase the pace of your walks. Start walking faster. Okay, put benchmarks. So for example, if you're doing a circuit, say, okay, in half an hour, how many rounds can I do? And make a note of that. Then you say, okay, in the next half an hour, in 1 week's time, in half an hour, I want to increase the number of rounds by 2. And then you go for it. Or you say, I'm going to do 10 rounds and you mark the time that you took for 10 rounds. And then you say, next time I'm going to do 10 rounds in 5 minutes less time than it took last time. So that's how you put benchmarks, and you really start pushing yourself, right? So the key about exercise is constantly going one step beyond. If you're not constantly going one step beyond, then you're not working out. You're just on maintenance mode, right? So working out is basically going as far as you can go, and then one step further, that's all. So for you, what I would suggest is stick to the normal general routine of a basic cardio workout. And when you feel comfortable, when you feel you can, then you start moving into more high intensity. And I mean, depending on what the situation is, I don't know what the situation is to actually tell you how, but depending on what the situation is, within 3 to 4 weeks, you should be able to start really moving up in your workout program and start, moving up. So that's something that you'll need to do. But ideally, speak to somebody that is able to take you through it, and who's able to kind of push you to go slowly beyond and to start working.
Thank you,
Thank you
sir.
very much. There is another question related to that, specific for shoulder injuries. I think a lot of our students, not only have they just been sitting at home for a long time because of the pandemic, they also have suffered some injuries. So there's a student with a shoulder injury asking, are there any specific exercises that he or she can do to get things started while he or she is recovering from the shoulder injury?
Okay. Now, the thing is, without truly identifying what the shoulder injury is, it will be a bit difficult to tell. But in general, often the injury may be in relation to the rotator cuff. That's in this role, the rotator cuff, which is a combination of four joints, right? Or four structures, muscles around. Now, it's a shoulder dislocation. Okay. Yeah. So if it's a shoulder dislocation, I think the first thing is for you to slowly get off the fear in your mind. So you have to start very slow. How long did this happen? You had the surgery last year. Okay. So what I would suggest for you is to gradually start slowly building the muscular structure around your shoulder. Now, I'm actually currently dealing with a person who's had a shoulder dislocation and a surgery. He actually had it twice on his shoulder before. And one of the biggest issues is because of the surgery and because he has been afraid to use the shoulder, his shoulder had got extremely weak, hardly any muscle mass on the shoulder, right? And that's one of the biggest problems that happen, especially for those who have had shoulder injuries, especially dislocated shoulders. So what we need to do now is basically do slow, basic movements. Initially, lift heavy bags, try to lift a bag and just walk a distance, keeping that and then put it down. Steady state movements, right? Without moving too much. All you do, lift, create, because what you want to do is we want to start building that muscle stability on the side so that it protects that shoulder area, right? And then as you become comfortable, you start moving into movements like a push-up movement. Yeah. Okay, you have done physiotherapy. Good. So good, which means that you have done physiotherapy, which means that a lot of the initial stages of recovery might already have been worked on. So now what you got to do is slowly start scaling it up, slowly scaling it up, right? Being, two things, you have to actually do a shift in your mental state and take away the fear. And then you have to slowly start engaging that shoulder in movements that demand a lot of pressure, right? And increase it. So start doing wall push-ups first. Go to the wall and try to see if you can slowly do some wall push-ups, right? And eventually you do wall push-ups for a week, then you scale down version, you go down. Because what we want to do is you want to start creating that muscle structure around your shoulder to start getting stronger. Get a small band. I got bands here where you can just take a band and let me just get a band for you and show. Okay. Now, if you're looking at this band, like a kind of a band, what you're doing is you take it around. It's a thin band, up and down. Okay, you just move it up and down in this position. You create, yeah. So my suggestion for you to gain muscle is that to slowly start increasing the resistance on your shoulder. You need to start slowly increasing the resistance, and then gradually building on it. Great. If you have a band, that's great. Super. You send a message saying that you will do it. Excellent. I hope that helps.
Any other questions?
Can you
So
swim?
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So I have heard somewhere there is a Zumba classes are going on. Is that working as a normal exercise, or is that different from exercise?
No, it's just a different form. So Zumba is like a dance move. It's kind of a dance exercise. It's high cardio, very active, agile. So it's movement. It's exercise. So it's one of, for example, if somebody does weight training, it's exercise, but it's resistance based training for muscle development. Zumba is more kind of a cardio based training. You put it in the category of cardio based. So if you're looking for fat burn and fat loss, then Zumba is a good option. But if you're looking at optimal health, what I would suggest is with the Zumba also to have a mixture of strength training so that you develop muscle mass or lean muscle.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, I couldn't understand what is the resistance controlling for the muscle gaining?
What is the resistance? So for muscle to build, okay, so the science behind how muscle grows is this. When you put stress on your muscle, for example, you take some sort of a resistance. So resistance means weight. I'm using a weight here, right? Now to hold this weight up, I need resistance. So when I keep this weight, it's using resistance, right? Now, when you work out, so for example, you do a bicep curl and you're working out, right? And you do multiple reps, you have to go to the point where you are really pushing the muscle. Because when you work out, you break your muscle down. You actually create micro tears on your muscle, right? So when you work out, you're basically breaking your muscle down. Then how the muscle grows is by healing itself. So how it heals and how it grows is when your body starts repairing the muscle, it starts building that muscle together, and then it says, okay, it's going through stress, I need to make it stronger. So the body makes the muscle stronger and bigger. So that's how muscle mass is developed, right? So what I mean by resistance is any sort of resistance. It can be body weight resistance or weight, right? Any weight to stimulate your muscle, to create that muscle tear. I hope you understand that. So when you do that, and when you create that resistance and you create that muscle tear, then your body recovers, your body starts restoring that muscle, and then that's where it grows. That's how muscle grows. If you take this 5K and you keep doing 10 reps every day, right? Your muscle won't grow, but it'll be good enough to carry 5K. But if you want to see growth, you got to keep increasing it. Okay, 5K, I do 5K, then I go on to 7K, then I go on to 10K, then I go on to 15K. And as you keep going, your muscle keeps growing because it has to take on the load. So that is resistance. Okay, that is how you increase resistance. You can do the same thing with the band as well. You have a lighter band, you have heavier bands, you have more resistant based bands. So yeah.
Refuge, I think I need to ask this question so that we can break a myth, especially with females getting into training.
Yeah.
Most of the females fear that if they get into physical activities or training, their physique might change and they feel that they will have a body of a man. So how would you suggest And how would you address to this particular myth? Because most of the females, because of this issue, they don't get involved in any trainings. So I hope it helps others as well.
Thank you for that question, Anuja. Yeah. So that when you speak about muscle training and muscle building, it is not about becoming a bodybuilder. And women's physiology is absolutely different to a man's physiology. Okay. And as a result of that, we are not going to, women are not going to put on muscle mass the way a male would put on muscle mass, because there is a hormonal difference in the body and a physiological difference in our bodies, right? So there is no, we are not, when a female does strength training, it doesn't mean that they are going to look like a man, if you know what I mean. Right? But you get stronger, you have enough, strength to be able to run, to be able to push, lift something and all of that. So that's what we mean by developing this muscular strength, okay, and developing muscle mass. Yeah, so I hope that sort of.
Sir, there is one question from a student. He wants to know, are there any special methods to develop muscles without taking any supplements?
Oh, yes. I mean, I won't recommend supplements at all, because see, the problem today is everybody's talking about supplements because we think that supplements is what we need to develop muscle. No, see, a supplement is a supplement. It's not a substitute for food. So what we need is basically first good food. You get your good food in, and if you train, you will develop muscle. The whole supplement industry is basically a marketing gimmick, right? The fact is that it's a marketing gimmick. I mean, of course, if you want to get your protein intake for you're doing a sports activity and you want to really get that protein in, you can probably go for a whey protein. Okay, there isn't a problem with that. But by large, all of these other anabolic strength and all of these things are marketing gimmicks, which is not necessary. Like I told you, right? You buy a packet of summer portion, you get about 20 grams of protein there itself. Okay, so it's about how you train and what you eat. So go for the protein-based food, have whole food. If you're not getting holistic food, then you can think of a supplement. But you don't need the supplement, because the money that you spend on a supplement, that's about 20,000 rupees a tub of whey protein. You can really spend on good food, and get the effect of that with much more benefit, because it has all the other nutrients that you get from the food. Okay, so I hope that helps. So in short, you don't need supplements to put on muscle mass. If you're eating well and if you train well, that's how the olden days bodybuilders did it. They had milk and eggs and whatever. Supplements is a very recent development in that sense.
Shall we take one last question, because I know Refuge needed to run for another session right after this. Do you have time for one question?
I have about 10 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sir, were you always fit, Fuge? How did you get interested in exercise? And what's your personal story?
Okay, my personal story. So my life story has always been in mentoring and life coaching. So for more than 20 odd years, I've been a youth mentor and counselor in a sense. And what happened is, also growing up, I loved sport. I loved different sporting activities. So I was always involved in sport. I love to go outdoors, and I'm also I love the outdoors. So I love hiking, camping, trekking. That's basically what I love doing. And what I did was I used that in order to do my mentoring with the young people that I used to mentor. So I used to bring sport in. We used to go out camping. I created an adventure club, and we used to go out doing abseiling and stuff like that. So that's my background, right? Kind of the jungle and things like that. So along the way, at one point, close to about 7 to 8 years ago, I realized that I wanted to bring this onto a different scale so that I could reach a wider range of people, because I was coming in contact with more older people, and I realized that there was a huge need, not only among the young people, but there was a greater need among young adults and also older people in their 60s and 70s who needed optimal health. And my passion was always about impacting people, right? Like for me, nothing excited me more than seeing transformation, seeing life transformation, you know? So that's how Refuge began. That's about being fit and becoming, creating fitness in body, mind, and spirit as a lifestyle, so that can become your story as well. Because as you see, Refuge is a combination of fitness and my name, Refuge. And what we want to do is that it can become your story as well. It can be Fit Vidura or Fit Sangeeta, right? Because where fitness becomes a lifestyle for you, you know, and it becomes a passion for you. Because my thing is, you know, what's the point of living life if you are not absolutely alive, right? And fully engaged. So I thought just 4 things that I wanted to, in a sense, share with you, which I learned that for me are the pillars of success, right? To work. If anybody asks me, is there anything more I want in life right now? I would say no. You know, I love what I'm doing, and at any point in my life, you know, I feel that this is where I would want to be. So the 4 pillars of success. The first one for me was having a life vision or a purpose, right? Which is, what is, you know, the question is, what do you want to be? Like what I asked you, what's your vision for your life? What sort of life do you want 10, 15 years from now? How do you envision it? See, if you don't have that vision, right, then there is nothing for you to go towards, and you will go where everybody else tells you to go. So somebody will tell you this is good, and another person will tell you that is good, and then you'll go into that direction because you don't have your own vision, right? So I think the first thing for success is for you to know what is it that you want deep inside. What is your vision? Where do you want to be 10 years from now, right? Then the next one is intention, intent. Now, intent is basically the hunger to get to your vision. Having a dream is one thing. We all have dreams sometimes, right? But intention is when you really want to get there, right? It is to make the intention to make your vision a reality. So that's one thing that you have. The second thing that you need, right? Because I realized that that's something that kept driving me. For me, you know, it's about, you know, I'm somebody who wants to be, in a sense, always working towards something. I need to be moving. I need to be, you know, growing, right, in every area. So vision is one, intention is the other one, and which is the hunger to get to your vision. Within that, you were, you know, there are different. Okay, so that was second one, right? Yeah, second one. The third one is, now you have a vision, you have intent. The third one is basically commitment. What, you know, you may have intention or hunger to get there. For example, okay, I really want to get rid of this, you know, excessive weight, and I want my life to be more active. So that's the intent that you have, right? Because of the vision. But if you don't make that and make a commitment, your intention will be simply an intention, a good intention, right? But when you say, okay, I want to do something about it, you got to immediately put that into a commitment, make a commitment. Okay, I'm going to go and speak to somebody. I'm going to set up a timetable. I'm going to start exercising 3 days a week. You put it down. That is a commitment that you make. And if you don't make a commitment, you are not going to get there. You may have the best vision in life, and you may have a burning desire and a hunger to get there. But if you don't put up a plan, if you don't commit to something to get you there, right, you're not going to go there. Okay. So commitment is when you go and get into the bus. Right? Vision is like, okay, I want to get to Kandy. That's my vision. Intention is, okay, I'm going to get up I'm going to take the bus from Peta at this time, that to go there, maybe I'm going to take the bus, right? Commitment is when you get up in the morning, right, pack your bags and get to the place to get on the bus. That's the commitment. If you don't have that commitment, you're not going to Kandy, right? Now the fourth one to see transformation is consistency. You can have all of these things. You can have intention, you can have the vision, you can have the intention, you can have the commitment. But if you are not consistent in your life, right, then very soon you're not going to go where you're supposed to go. Consistency is where you keep going. You keep being consistent. I'm going to train thrice a week. You train thrice a week. If you miss one day, you put it on another day. You make that commitment and then you become consistent. Now, every sportsman knows what that is like. Whether you like it or not, you have to hit the field for training. Right? That's consistency. You got to go there, you got to be there, you got to do what you're supposed to do. Whether you like it or whether you don't like it. If training is at 4 o'clock, you got to be there at 4 o'clock. Right? So in life, it's the same thing. Once you decide what you want to do, once you have set those places in place, set that plan in place, then you have to start being consistent. You need to tell yourself, I'm going to go, I got to do this. And you start hitting it, whether you feel like it or whether you don't. There may be setbacks, you may be sick, you may fall back, you may not be able to do for a week. As soon as you get back, you're back on board, you're going for it again, and you keep going. So these are the 4 things which for me, I hold as a key pillars, right? Vision is something that I added recently because I realized that you need the big picture, but intention, commitment, and consistency. If you don't have these 3 things, you're in your fitness journey or in your journey of life, you're not going to make it far. I hope that helps.
Thank you so much, sir. It was a good lifetime lesson. Thank you, sir.
So thank you. We've come to the end of our session, and just in time as our career counselor, Ms. Vindhya Vadihena, is home. So thank you. I'll let her speak for a few words.
Sure.
Thank you.
Good evening to everyone. Nice to meet you, Mr. Refuge and Mr. Anajan. Actually, I was joined your session when I'm on the way to home. So actually, nice session, very informative, attractive, and you had done it well. And we are very happy about you because you have done this very freely with our students. So, and I would like to give my special thanks to Mr. Anajan also. Actually, you have shows us how to sit even in a proper way. That is very important for us because sometimes we also do those things. Actually,
Yeah.
I also answering the phone like this. So when I'm hearing it, I also surprised with me because I also doing wrong things in the way we day-to-day activities when we are doing some wrong things, manners. So thank you very much, Mr. Refuge and Mr. Anojan.
You're welcome.
Yes, and I would like to thank Dr. Prince, especially because she had taken us a nice person to us because I never seen you earlier. Because actually, when I'm hearing for you, I can remember the day when she comes to the career guidance unit. She asked me, she sent me a link for you, link of your LinkedIn account, and asked me, "Do you know him?" Actually, I told her I don't know him. So actually, very surprise session. Like to meet you in physically also near future when this pandemic is over. And Mr. Anojan, thank you very much for contribute this session. And Dr. Prince, thank you very much. And the moderators, you have done a great session. Thank you, everyone. And my dear students, thank you very much for participate for this event. And I would like to thank the Career Guidance Unit Director and my colleagues. Thank you very much for all of you. And anyway, we learn a lot from you. So thank you very much, Mr. Refuge, again and again. We got a nice and great and an informative session from you. Thank you, all of you.
You're welcome. So it was a
Thank you,
pleasure.
Vidya, and thank you, Refuge and Anujan and all the students. See you next time.
Thank you.
Bye.